intelligent people come here. They listen well, they're able to ask good questions. And the answer is, you must understand, what was it that HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Avram were arguing about? It states, it will be found, Asoro Anoshim Tzadikim B'soicho Ir. Why say B'soicho Ir? B'ir. 10 just people in the midst of the town. Why not in the town? The answer is, if you have 10 just people who are hiding in their houses, they're just, but nobody knows about them, that wouldn't save that. No. They have to go out in the midst of the city, and they have to fight the city. They have to buck. They have to show opposition to the city. That's b'soichoyer. Like it says, Yerushalayim irecha, berachamim toshu. Come back to the city of Yerushalayim. B'sishken b'soicho kasher dibat. You should dwell in its midst. Like you say, what do you mean its midst? Doesn't mean that the Shekhinah should be there invisible. Is there invisible now too? The Shekhinah should show itself. That's what he wants. The Shekhinah should demonstrate itself. That's what it means, V'sishken b'soicho. Now you know how to daven. V'sishken b'soicho. The Shekhinah should dwell openly in its midst. That's what we want. We don't want a hidden Shekhinah. We have hidden Shekhinah right here. 10 Jews have Shekhinah. We want open Shekhinah. Now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, yes, if you show me 10 people who went out in the street and protested when Sodom made a law against welcoming wayfarers, and I'll save the city for their sake. That's what we want. Now, 10 people that protest are very hard to find. 10 people that will buck the establishment of Sodom are hard to find. And in Europe, you didn't have so many people who come out and fight openly. You had frum Jews. Like we are frum Jews, but we don't fight back. We sit quietly in our shtiblach, in our shuls. We don't fight back. Where is the opposition that we show to the wicked? We have to make opposition against those who oppose capital punishment. We have to make opposition against those who favor homosexuality. We're at the demonstration against abortion. You ever see an Orthodox Jewish demonstration against abortion in America? I'm still waiting for it. Let's see a demonstration against abortion in Israel. Let Orthodox Jews demonstrate. Let them come in and break down the Knesset. They should burn down the Knesset. If the Knesset countenances murders, abortion is murder. They're countenancing murdering Jewish children. There's one Rav Avadia Yosef who stuck his neck out. May he be blessed. Rav eliezer came out and says, not only abortion, he said, contraception is a sin. So up speaks a certain Rosh, a rabbi, who was on the payroll of the Mapai, and he says, not right, you shouldn't say it, and so on. He's trying to negate his word. Where are the Jews to speak up against contraception, against abortion, against the murder of billions of Jewish babies that are lost in America? Whole families have gone underground because of lack of childbirth, and now abortions. And now it's Yisrael. What do you have people who speak up and protest? Fighters. You don't have them. Sometimes there's a Neturei Karta, he's put in jail. And people despise Neturei Karta. Where do you have people, b'soichoyer? We want 10 just men to go out in the midst of the city like Yirmiyahu Navi went out. And he raised his voice like a shofar. And he threw stones at him. And they put him in a pit, in a slime pit, where he was drowning. There's a colored man who pulled him out, by the way. A colored man saved Yirmiyahu from being drowned in a pit. Remember that? Our debt to the colored people. We have other debts too. We have other debts, but we have to settle before that debt. And finally, they sentenced him to death. He was narrowly saved from death. Yishai Hanavi was killed. Uri Hanavi was killed by a melech. So if you have 10 just people, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu would listen. Of course, it needed Avram too. It needed Avram too. It wasn't just 10 people, by the way. Because without Avram, 10 people wouldn't help either. It needed Avram with his great merit. Avram was beloved by Hashem. So if Avram asks, and in addition he has 10 just people, b'soichoyer, then together. But you don't have any Avram, and you don't have 10 people to stand up and give an open opposition. So, what's the question? And who rules the Jewish street? Up till recently, the forwards ruled the Jewish street. All the Jews spoke Yiddish up to recently. And the newspaper was the forwards, the biggest newspaper in America, the biggest Jewish newspaper, a daily newspaper, the biggest. And the forwards, every yontif published articles ridicule the yontif. I was a boy, I read it. I read the forwards every day when I was a boy. I read Yiddish. I want to know Yiddish. I read the forwards. I learned Yiddish. The forwards before Pesach published articles against Pesach. And one article I recall, this is a long time ago. I wasn't 10 years old yet. The article was that the most silly book in the world is the Agada Shel Pesach. You couldn't find a sillier book. And if you subscribe to the forwards, they gave you a premium, a prize for subscribing. Among the premiums was a book like called Kosher and Treife. I remember the name of the author. Feigenbaum, Yimach Shmei V'Zichret. Feigenbaum. A big fat book, Kosher and Treife. It ridiculed the whole thing of kashrus. All the laws of Judaism was ridiculed in Yiddish. And that was sent out as a prize to everybody who bought a subscription. Millions of copies were distributed. If you read a book called A House on Fire by Lieberman, he used to be a writer in the forest. He became a Baal Tshuva. He wrote a book, A House on Fire. It's in English. And he writes, in the 1915, 1920, up to 1930, the Jewish street was afire with atheism. The socialists, they were socialists, extreme radicals, the forwards. They had the biggest organization in the country. Everywhere they had their branches. All the Jews were immigrants, and they came to these places, and they had kol nidre balls. Kol nidre night, they were balls. And all the greenhorns were given oysters and milk to drink. I once told you. A greenhorn told me, as he walked into a kol nidre bowl, they sat down, and he said, "What's this?" They told him it's oysters and milk. He don't know what oysters is. But he didn't want to drink it. They said, "You have to be an American. You can't be a greenhorn always." They started drinking it. Oysters and milk is something slimy. He thought it was something that slipped out of somebody's nose into the milk. But to be an American, you do anything. So I started drinking it, and he vomited back again into the glass. From a serious nefesh. They did these things. And that's how the forwards ruined the Jewish people in America. They made enemies, and their great-grandchildren are today Hindus. They're everything in the world but Jews. They're lost to the Jewish people. It's A House on Fire. Interesting book to get, by the way, and see what took place in those days. And so, there weren't many people to speak up. I don't know how true it is. There's a book, a dirty book, I won't tell you the name of it, written by somebody who lived in those days. Dirty bum, he wrote a dirty book. And he tells of a Jew, a frum Jew, got up on the street, took a box and got up on the street, and he preached against the houses of prostitution that were all around the neighborhood. And somebody hit him in the head with a stone, and he fell down in the street. It was difficult in those days. It was terrible in those days. Even in the synagogues. The presidents were Rishoyim Gemurim in many synagogues. Presidents used to come. I once walked into a barber shop, a Jewish barber, and he complained against the president of a local synagogue nearby. He says, the president of that synagogue, Shabbos morning, instead of coming to me, goes to the Italian barber to get a shave. That's a complaint that a Jewish barber had. He says, Shabbos morning, instead of coming to me, he goes to the Italian barber across the street to get a shave. I remember Chazonim used to come in taxi Shabbos morning. Big Chazon came out of his taxi, a half block away. Walked over, walked into the shul, took out of his pocket the kamerton, that little flute. He banged it on the table. Everybody admired it. Oh, it's wonderful. The great artist is here. Without saying Bola Shama, he started Shechenad. That was in old Jewish shuls. There was a shul near me. The young Yisrael of Rugby made a demonstration against that shul because they sold tickets. All the shuls had policemen, Yom Kippur, to collect tickets from. You didn't have a ticket, you couldn't go into shul. Had to carry on Yom Kippur. All the shul, up to recently. Maybe some shul still do that. And the Jewish policeman too. And he punched your ticket as you walked in. You didn't have a ticket? You weren't Machal Yontiv, you can't get in the shul to daven. It's a fact. And in very many places, they sold seats, sold tickets on Shabbos. Now, young Yisrael Rebbe made a protest. Around the corner of that big shul, there was a candy store. And at that candy store, they were selling tickets Shabbos morning to hear the chazan around the corner. And they protested in front of the shul because of that. That's what took place once upon a time. Who spoke up? There was a famous rabbi in Borough Park, a kohen, I won't say his name, who used to go to the cemetery. If you wanted him to make a speech on your grandmother's grave, he went for money, and they stood on the grave, a kohen, in Borough Park. That's how it used to be in those days. And people didn't protest enough. What do you find 10 people will get up and say, you're a Russia, you're a kohen, and you're going on the cemetery? There were some, but not enough. And that's why it's a big problem to find 10 just people, who go out in the middle of the city and talk. You'll find a lot of nice people who are hiding inside the walls of their homes, and they're observing everything. But we need people to speak up. Some more questions. The controversy about the